There are so many different ways you can save money by just not throwing out stuff that you already have in your house. Always amazes me how frequently people just think you have to go to the store and buy solutions to your problems when oftentimes the solutions are right here around you. You just have to be a little creative. But if you don't feel super creative, I have a bunch of tips. I think I started by saying I had 25. I came up with a few more as I was getting ready to film this. So more than 25 tips of different ways you can save money around the house, starting with, I am currently using a tissue box as one of my drawer organizers in my kitchen. A couple years ago, I realized that the kitchen drawer where we store all of the cups and measuring devices was just a nightmare. At the time, we were working on getting out of debt and I didn't have the money to just go to a container store and get something to make it look nice. So I looked around and we had a tissue box. And we're still using it because it works. And when you look down into the drawer, you don't notice that it's a tissue box because you're only seeing the up view. It keeps things in one place and makes them a little bit tidier. And honestly, we probably need another tissue box in there because it's getting a little hairy. Next, I don't know if you have the same problem in your house, but in my house, we would be going through so many more trash bags just because stuff smells. And so if you're putting a lot of smelly things into your trash, you probably are going to have to take it out more frequently using more bags than you need to if you didn't use this trick. If you get the plastic bags from the store for your produce, I don't choose to do this, but when we do pick up at the store, they put produce in here anyway. You're going to put things you would otherwise throw in the trash, smelly foods. We can just put them in a bag and stick them in the freezer until trash day. And then we're not going through 1,000 bags just to take care of smells in the house. Cuts down on odors and cuts down on the amount of trash bags you need to pay for. If you have clothespins and string lying around and you have tiny children who like to make lots of art for you, you might want to use the two to make art displays. So if you have your art, you can just take it and clip it to the string like so. And now you have a way to display things if you put a bunch of them in line vertically, or you can hang them like this and make it look like art on a clothesline, which is a pretty cute look, I think. That has saved me from having to buy art display things, which Amazon is more than happy to sell me if I looked. So that's how we display art in our house. I just went out in a snowstorm to retrieve this, but you can take milk jugs and slice them open on the side, and you can put plants in little planters in there and have this be your tiny greenhouse. And then you can tape it up and seal the top. And yeah, I got lettuce growing in there right now. If you, like me, when you were first married, bought a bunch of cheap versions of things because you were newly married and had no money, and you happened to buy the cheap versions of measuring devices, and then the little numbers rubbed off on you, and they're not as useful anymore, we have taken one of our 2-tablespoon measuring devices and actually put it to use in the basement measuring laundry detergent. Because, did you know, you were probably spending way too much on your laundry detergent if you're measuring by the little numbers that they give you on the cup that is like the lid of the laundry detergent bottle. Way more than you need to. 2 tablespoons, all you need. I have a video about this as proof. I have a really cute mug that I bought at a yard sale, but it got chips in it, and I didn't want to drink from it because it had chips in it, but they make really nice flower pots, if I do say so myself. And it's hanging out on my windowsill and it makes me happy. If you have baby food jars, like the little glass ones, and you have sharp items that you need to store properly so you don't hurt yourself, like thumbtacks, needles, razors, if you've got like disposable razors for things, the little baby jars work really well because they're tiny. They only have like 1-piece lids as opposed to a canning lid, which has like the 2 pieces. So we have all our thumbtacks are in a little baby jar, and we don't stab ourselves when we're trying to get one. If you buy spices in bulk, sometimes those containers are kind of crappy and they're not as useful in your kitchen. Especially, I like my spices to be very close to the stove where I can use them. I save other spice containers when I've used them all up, and I'll rub the labels off, and now I have usable containers for bulk spices I buy in the future. Okay, I didn't come up with this idea. I did see it online, but I thought it was too good not to share. If you have these little doodads, and you have a freezer that has a divider, it's got the gaps in it, you can use these guys to clip onto one of the shelf lines, whatever you want to call that, and you can hang your freezer food, and so it can all be nice and organized, and you're not going to just have to like rummage through. You can see everything hanging nicely. Ta-da! I also didn't come up with this one. This one came from a comment from a few videos ago, so thank you to Diane. But if you've got like a container of disinfecting wipes, there's liquid at the bottom. Once you have run out of all of the wipes, Diane says that you can take the liquid at the bottom, pour it into a spray bottle, and just use it as disinfecting spray. Now you don't have to buy extra disinfecting spray for a while. I thought that was pretty smart. If you've never heard of Jennifer Cook, she is the way I got the idea for this video, because she made a very similar video using a bunch of things she has around her house as ways that she saves money. She talked about using a clothes hanger that has the little clippies and hanging it on things to hold her recipes as she cooks. I use a bit of a different strategy. I use magnets, and now sometimes I have the nice magnets, and sometimes I have the magnet that they sent me when I had my baby at the hospital, and it's the breast milk storage guide magnet. But either way, all you have to do when you're cooking is, if you have an overhead microwave, you can take your magnet and just hang your recipe right in front of your face on the microwave. The next 4 ideas are actually all from when I used to be a teacher and didn't have very much money and needed to furnish my classroom and make it functional. You have a cold cereal box. If you cut that at an angle, this is what I'm talking about. It's too hard to explain. That is the perfect size for storing papers. If you need like a paper filing storage system, you can like have a bunch at angles that look really nice. Honestly, you can actually, I think I remember one year I just had a bunch stacked up where I had the top cut off, and so I had them open and I could just slide on the papers nice and like that, and it worked. I just duct taped it all together. You want to make a whiteboard but don't want to buy a whiteboard. If you have a like 9.5 by 11 size certificate frame that has like the glass or plastic protector, you can just slip a plain white piece of copy paper behind that and use an expo marker, and now it's a whiteboard because it looks white, but you're writing on the glass, and it's perfect, and it's just a nice little handheld size. You also can use clear packing tape and laminate whatever you want. You have to have a few passes of the tape depending on the size of the thing you want to laminate. But I've done this with things on my fridge. I've done this with art projects that I want to save from my kids. It's obviously not going to be as seamless as actually laminating something, but it works in a pinch. I promise. Another good thing that can be used as a container, this is a shoebox, and you can reuse me for colorful crayons. This is the crayon box. And speaking of crayons, if you've got a bunch of like broken crayon nubs, they're too tiny to use by themselves and the kids don't really want to use them anymore, what you can do is, if you have either a like baking safe silicone mold or muffin tin, you can actually make these little crayon cookies, which are actually a really good size for like a baby or like a kid just learning how to grab stuff. You can make them fun colors if you want to if you want to put a couple different colors together, or if you want to say this is, or if you just have enough of one color, you can make this is the orange cookie. And that's a really good way of reusing and not wasting your crayons. There's also a big debate about what makes the best tiny bathroom-sized garbage bags. You can buy the rolls of like tiny garbage bags, but there's also other stuff in your house. Now here in Maine, we no longer have single-use plastics at the grocery store, which weren't single-use to begin with because we used them all the time for other stuff. But now we really don't have them, that you can't go to the grocery store and get plastic. You can either get paper or bring your own bags. So we've had to get a little more creative. And there's honestly so many different things you can do. So if you don't have heavy-duty garbage going in this bag, you can use the thin, flimsy plastic produce bags. You also can use a potato bag if you're not going to put anything like liquid or oozy in your garbage. If you know it's just going to be for, say, like all wrapped up diapers. Potato bags will work. I don't seem to have one in here, but bread bags will also work in a pinch, depending on the size of your garbage can. There's a lot of things you can use to line your tiny garbage cans that aren't bags you have to pay for. Oh, this isn't even a potato bag. You can use potato bags, but this is actually for oranges. All of the, like, when you buy the big bulk produce, all bulk produce bags are a good size. If you go to a grocery store that has a bakery department, you can ask them if they have any food-safe plastic containers, and sometimes they do, and they will give them to you. So this, for example, used to be tasty pre-whipped vanilla icing, a lot of it, and now it is storing, oh, I can't open this without the pliers. This is now storing a ton of oatmeal that we bought bulk from the Amish store. But they make really good storage containers if you need, especially if you need things to be like food safe containers. Of course, one of the best tools in your household toolbox is old shirts. So obviously if you have small kids, you can turn them into paint shirts. If you find that they're not even good enough for that, or you don't have little kids who want to paint stuff all the time, you can cut up the old shirts, use them for rags for cleaning up spills around your house instead of using paper towels all the time. And then if you want to go a step even further, if you garden, you can also cut up your rags into strips and use those like to tie up your tomato plants so all the vines are happy and up off the ground. Or, you know, just growing properly. You can also use them for like holding up produce if you're growing on a vertical trellis. Not many people are doing that. Of course, the best part of a video like this is going to the comments section because, yeah, sure, I gave you a few ideas, but you know if you go to the comments, you're going to see a ton of other people giving way better tips than I can. And leave your own if you have ideas that I didn't mention and you want to share ways that you save money by not throwing things out around the house. Or if you don't feel very creative and you don't have many ideas about how to reuse stuff around your house, but you want to learn how to save more money, you can go do this video next, which might be helpful. Bye, YouTube.